So, I see real joy, youthfulness in you. Is this because you're a new follower of the way?
No.
No? So how do you maintain this joy?
You know, for someone like me who was born into it, I mean, you know, lots of people, you know, are sort of...
Talk about that, because that's really hard when you're born into a belief system to maintain the joy instead of the law.
Yeah.
Even when the shit and the trash of life is all around you, as I see now. Look at that joy. How do you keep that? Especially someone born into it. Yes.
Well, you know,
we're all searching for that youthful childishness.
The joy of life.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, you can't take anything too seriously. I mean, we'll talk about, you know, the philosophy and the religion, you know, and the law of fly fishing. But, you know, God has a sense of humor, you know, and, you know, we don't like to take ourselves too seriously. You know, we laugh at ourselves.
How big is this congregation? Is there a congregation?
Yes. We don't know.
I've heard that you guys actually don't like to gather. Like, that there's a possessiveness about the pools.
Yeah, right. We usually travel, you know,
very small groups
together. But yeah, you know, usually not more than 3 or 4. You know, 4 is, you know, kind of borderline. Usually, you know, when you get too many, you split off from each other. So we actually prefer to stay, you know, with 1 or 2 others, because then there's less, you know, it's actually more community in a smaller group, a really small group.
Personal
like
contemplation too when you're alone. You can't do that in a large group.
No. And you know, and also, you know, just the way the pools work. You can't have too many people in a pool. You can't have someone, you know, right next to you, fishing right above you, because their line's gonna drift down. And, you know, it's you don't want someone fishing right above you, because then, you know, they'll ruin the stream up above you. Where do you have to go if there's someone above you all the time? So it's good to stay.
What do you say about certain, like, you know, you have the Gospel, or was it the Chronicles of Bill Schaadt? He's kind of a trickster. Do you think that that's honest? A lot of people have criticized him because he would actually leave marks that he'd been there and he wasn't there.
Yeah, he would. He'd leave traps.
He'd lure people to pools where there wasn't anything, and then he would go to the pool where there was. And would you say that's dishonest?
No. You know, it's just life.
It sounds like there's some competition in this way of life, almost.
I mean, he had a sense of humor
lying
about it, obviously. No, it's not lying. I mean, it is a game. You know, like life, and you have to figure out, you know, how to play it. You don't get, you know, you're not going to get those fish for free. You might, you know, if you're...
You got to work for it, don't you? Really got to want it and have a passion and a love.
You know, at first people will be more forgiving, and they might let you fish that hole. But if you know what you're doing, you know, people aren't going to be as easy on you. You know, sort of you know, you have to grow in your in your faith and the technique. It's sort of a discipleship.
And you were going to say decisive. You learn to be decisive, which is what you would get from Bill Schaadt. Is in his
Yeah.
his way,
He was-
a little
was-
different than
he
the
was good
Gospel
at-
of Bob.
Yeah, he
which
was
is more
good at
gentle,
reading
but
people too. You know, he could. You know, there are, you know, in any religion, you know, there's the people that will lead you astray, and there's the ones who think they know what they're
so
doing.
would you say Bill Schaadt is a person who teaches you that people will lead you astray and to wisen up a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, yeah,
And instead of having confidence in false flags, have confidence in yourself, and instead of in man, in him.
Yeah.
When you see that flag, look to yourself, look inward maybe, and say, look to the river and the way.
Who's,
Is there fish in? Are there fish in
Is
there?
this interview yours or is it mine? 'Cause
I'm interviewing
you. Seem to be
you.
doing a lot of talking.
Oh. I think
And it's also, you know, it's like in literature, there's different ways of talking about fly fishing. You know, lots of people like to talk about it almost like it's sort of chivalric. You know, like we're actually, you know, we're out there fighting dragons. You know, we're out there on our white horses.
It shows
and
that in this pool
You know,
over
they're all-
here, there's swords.
they're
And
you know, they're knights in shining armor. Really, they're not out to save anyone. They're just out there to fight the dragons. You know, they're fighting the monsters, and they're not doing it for anyone really. You know, I suppose, you know, they're doing it for themselves. Yeah. You know, but there's lots of people that, you know, they'll go out every night and fight those monsters.
Yeah.
You know, there's a great deal of faith and commitment, you know, compared to other religions. You know, some people, they go 5 nights a week
What
and Sunday morning.
what would you say to someone like me that has a hard time even getting their line out into the river? It snaggles in the bushes behind them. The wind catches it.
You know, as
Or
long
they
as you're
lose
having a good time.
the fly on a rock.
That's, you know, that's what you have to go through.
The hard times.
Every fisherman has to go through the hard times like that. You know, you always have those first experiences of fly fishing where it is easy. You know, you have someone with you, helping you, someone to untie your knots for you. But, you know, there comes a time when you're going to have to untie your own knots. And you're going to have to actually, you know, wade through the stream and get your line out of that tree.
What would you say? It's getting harder to get in that stream. It's getting slipperier. They're outlying the felt bottoms and going to a rubber slippery bottom. What'd you say to those? Would you say that's the law?
Well,
How do we overcome?
Disconnected
How do we
fly
overcome
fishing. How do we overcome
that and get down into that river and not be afraid of slipping and falling because the felt's being made illegal?
I guess, you know, you can't be afraid of it. You can bring someone, you know, you can bring someone with you, you know.
Watch you
someone
fall,
to
or-
watch you, someone, you know, to hold on to, you know, keep your balance.
So maybe a good woman.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of these
And also, you
followers,
know,
though-
having a woman around actually, you know, it's been proven that it increases the effectiveness because, you know, it's going back to that chivalric thing again. They're fighting.
So they're saving the nymph, the water nymphs
for the woman.
Yeah,
Right.
but as with a lot of other religions, there are the monks, and they don't marry.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot in this way also.
Yeah,
A lot of them, they don't marry. They're a little ascetic. They don't eat they don't have electricity, like Bill Schaadt. I
Right.
would say almost the John the
Yeah.
Baptist in the deserts.
Yeah.
Eating locusts and honey.
Yeah.
What would you say to those? Should we all live that way and give
No.
up
No.
companionship with others for this way?
No. We're all different, and people that, I have a great deal of respect for people that do lead that kind of life. It's hard. But they love it so much, their faith in it is so strong.
It's almost their wife. It is their
that
companion.
They don't need, yeah.
Hmm.
Right. And many times, there are the women that will actually take, they lure the men away from the river as well.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That's profound. There are the women that lure you away from the way.
Right. In a way, we're all fishing. It's just, where should you be fishing? Is it on the river? And maybe that's a curse, of women that, they lure the men away from the river. They take away that joy.
What would you say to someone who's gone through a particularly hard time, a split up of a relationship? Would you say that the river could be a place of solace for them, maybe, to get through that?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yes.
This has been an enlightening interview with a follower of the way of the river of life. There's no words.
Just get out on the river. Just go direct. Just go to the river. Straight to the river.
Wow.